All right, all right, all right. What's going on, everybody, man? Appreciate y'all tuning in, man. We got a special show for you guys tonight, man. We're going to be talking to Jabari Wilder. He's the new Lovejoy head coach, man. I'm super excited to talk to him about everything Lovejoy, his journey, his return back, obviously, to a place where he started at and all that good stuff, man. So without further ado, man, let's go ahead and get into it and talk to head coach of Lovejoy. Coach, what's going on?
Talk to you.
Man, on the job offer, what was it for you, man, that you was like, man, I want to go back to kind of, where I was able to make a name for myself before obviously coming from McKeachern? What made you decide to come back, where it all started?
Lovejoy's always been a special place for me.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
It's always been a special place. It's actually it was my fourth school on my journey of me coaching, but it was my first offensive coordinator opportunity. So when I got there, it really changed a lot of my perspectives of being able to man the one side of the ball, and it gave me a different opportunity that I hadn't had before. And Coach Carson gave me an opportunity that back then I was just an offensive line coach, but it gave me an opportunity to step up and show that I could man the entire side of the ball. And I was able to show that I could emphasize my offensive line mentality to a lot of other kids as well. So it's always been special to me.
So for you, why offensive line coach? Why did you always want to do that position or coach that position? Why did that position stand out for you?
So I've always been an offensive lineman. So I started playing football in high school at Banneker High School. I thought I was a fullback, and then they quickly told me that I was an offensive lineman. I was just an athletic lineman guy. I think that position in itself is where you got to be blue collar. You don't have any stats attached to it. Nobody's coming to the game to see you. And for me, that was unique because I wasn't a football guy. I didn't grow up playing football. I grew up doing a lot of different things. And for me, it was just an outlet to dominate a guy in front of me. And I really want to be seen as the man in the arena. I think when you're an offensive lineman, you're going against a guy all game. It's just you and him. I couldn't turn that down. That was the only position I could really get that in. So I think it's unique. I think there's no other position like it. And all the details that you need in order to be a great man, I think you can find in an offensive lineman.
100%. All right, so let's break down things, Coach. I want to ask you, talk about Carson. I know you got to celebrate passing the whistle. 6 p.m. What Coach Carson means to you and
one second, it broke up just a little bit at the end.
Yes, sir. No, I was just saying that just the end that Coach Carson had on you and obviously your career and where you are today.
Coach Carson told me 5 years ago that he thought I was a head coach. Back then, I really just wanted to be in charge of offense. I really just wanted to show that I could be the best offensive coordinator in the state. And he told me consistently that I was going to be a head coach one day. Now, that I assumed that was going to be Lovejoy at some point, it's still mind-blowing that it's here. But he instilled that first vision in me to be a head coach. And when I left there and got back with Coach Reed at McKeachern, I kind of was always preparing myself to be that just because of what Coach Carson told me. I saw him give himself to the program and give himself to Lovejoy for a long period of time. And I think that he invested so much time and of his heart into it that for me, I wouldn't want to come into any other situation but to challenge myself to match what he gave to that program for so many years and so many kids. So he showed me an example of giving your heart to kids. His own son graduated from there, or about to graduate from there. So he truly does bleed blue. And it challenges me as a head coach to bleed blue as well when I'm at Lovejoy.
And then speaking of that, so you talk about Coach Reed, another place that's obviously a really good program institution. So what were some things you learned from Coach Reed? As you said, you wanted to prepare yourself for this opportunity. What were some things he kind of taught you, the ways of the work, and how he was able to kind of benefit from that?
Yeah, so I first got with Coach Reed in 2019, and we got to Griffin together. So I was his offensive line coach at Griffin, and me watching him, how he organizes throughout his team of being a true business, I hadn't really seen that before. I came from Coach Laws being at Salem. Jared Laws is like a father to me. He raised me up in the coaching game. So I saw that part of it. That's a master class of how to treat a kid, how to love a kid. And then coming to Coach Reed, he showed me how to really be the business part of it, how to pub kids, how to have the catchy phrases. That's when I started coming up with a lot of things. We had the Great Wall of Griffin back then, and I started coming up with a lot of things in order to be catchy for the kids to be bought into. And that came from me kind of coming with Coach Reed and understanding there was a business part to this as well. So now I operate like it's a business. Also, as well, I operate with myself the way it's a lot of things back then when I was a young coach. I used to tweet about college coaches, and I was a Georgia fan. And I talked crazy about the games and stuff. And he corrected me on that and showed me how to move like a businessman. And I think I've carried that, and I've been allowed to be a businessman in this business for the past probably 7 years, really, since first working with him. And I think I've operated that way just from coming with him.
And then, coming back here, so I always like to ask coaches. So obviously, first time I believe being the head coach. What do you kind of envision for this program, Coach? Where do you ideally want to see this program at?
We got to serve the community. I remember when I was young, driving past Lovejoy High School and seeing the blue helmets outside in front of Walmart, and I just felt like there was a certain allure to it. I felt like they was really entrenched in the community, and I want when they see our helmet, when they even drive past the street that we're on, I want them to feel our presence in the community. I want people to truly support us and feel like whatever my core principles are for this program, I want them to believe in it just as like it's the core principles for their household. I think that used to be that way, and I think it still can. I think just now there's so many different programs that are good in the South Side area that you feel like the allure from Lovejoy is kind of gone, which is it's not true. It's a lot of guys that have done a great job in South Side schools where I think they've done fantastic in those other schools. And but it's time to remind people what Lovejoy is and what it's always been, and the heart has always been there. And that's what I want everybody to feel attached to, that these kids play with heart. These kids represent Lovejoy, and we represent Clayco as a brand in itself, because a lot of people have kind of veered away from seeing it that way in Clayton County and Clayton County teams. A lot of people have their opinions about Clayton County kids. I think Clayton County kids are great kids. They're very athletic. You look at this 2026 class that just left Lovejoy. There's plenty of talent going to Division I schools. So the school can't be dead. And Lovejoy can't just be this far gone thought if they pushing out 4 to 5 Division I kids a year still. So we have to remind people of that. I think it's here. Just have to remind people of it. And I think if the kids give themselves to the community, I think that community give it back to us.
I agree. So speaking of, Coach, if you don't mind sharing just a couple that you want to implement, what are some of those core principles you kind of wanted to bestow upon the kids, the community, and everybody that supports your program?
It's simple. It's one TC. We want to be the number one team in the county. We want to be number one in the classroom. We want to be number one in the community. And if we do that, we can be 1-0 each week and lead to a championship at some point. So that breaks down everything that we want to do as a program. That's something that we were when I originally was there. We was one TC. I was here with Coach Botel that just went to Griffin, and me and him were sitting in the room and thinking about what is something that we could get the kids to buy into. And one TC was it. And that sets the standard. We don't want to be one of the teams in Clayton County. We want to be the team in Clayton County. That's being the best team in your community. We want to be the most visible team in our community. So we want everything to be Columbia blue. Shout out to Jonesboro. That red is cool. But we want to paint the entire Clayton County Columbia blue, which is what we intend to do. But that's with us being in the community. That starts way before winning football games. That's just simply choosing to go to elementary schools, simply choosing to be at the churches and passing out food on the weekends. If they visibly see the Power Cat on our shirts and seeing that we're doing stuff in the community, then now we can say we can win football games. Now we can say that we can be a dominant football team, because that's another trait that you see with teams in their communities. You look at that emblem, it means a lot more than just going out there and winning a couple football games.
I do. You're 100% right, Coach. So speaking of community, I know you can't do this alone. I know you're going to need help. So speaking of, I just want to talk a little bit about your assistant coaches that's going to be helping you do this thing. What more can you say about the staff you assembled? I know a lot of these guys, Coach Smith, obviously Coach Johnson. Just tell me about some of the staff you've assembled.
Man, I think, and we aren't done with this with the staff just yet. We got a few surprises coming up, but man, you look at Rico and Junior Huff. If you look at those two guys, it's going to be DB coaches at Lovejoy. Those two guys were Lovejoy legends, and these two guys love Lovejoy so much to the point that I think that they will coach for free. They were the first two guys that everybody told me you got to speak to, and I was on the phone with them for 5 minutes, and it was no brainer to me. I got to have y'all here. Those guys really love Lovejoy High School, and they both were really good. Rico played at South Carolina, and Junior played at Jacksonville State, and both of them were really good at both places. And then we have Randy Robinson, who'll be the defensive line coach for us. He's also a Lovejoy legend. He played O-line, D-line at Lovejoy, went on to Jacksonville State. It was legendary as well, but he's a really fiery guy. He really reminds me of when I was his age. He's a guy that you don't want to put a chain on. You want to let him loose, and the kids are going to get loose too when they're playing for him as well, and he's a really good coach. And then we have Smitty, who's going to be our pass game coordinator. He is a Lovejoy legend. He's been a part of this community for years upon years. The community loves him. I think that he really would give himself. If you look and you see anywhere that Lovejoy Wildcat is somewhere, you're going to see him there as well. If you have an all-star game, have a baseball game, you look up, you're going to see him on his live showing his love for Lovejoy. So he's coming back with us. Chris Johnson is going to be my assistant head coach. He's the right-hand man. He was the running back coach there when I was originally at Lovejoy. His love for Lovejoy, you would think he was an alumni. He's from South Georgia, but what he's given to this community, what he's given to this program, and what he's willing to give. If you come out on the field, if you go into the school, he might be trained a running back or he might be trained a linebacker. It doesn't matter to him. He just do what it takes. And then our defensive coordinator is returning, Coach Corey Johnson. He's also been at Lovejoy for quite some time. Loves Lovejoy. He's a Clayco guy. Been in the county for a long time, and just willing to do whatever it takes to really be successful. So I think we wanted to, for me, when I looked at the staff, I wanted it to be guys that bleed blue. So when I'm pushing out the edits, that's what guys see. But these guys truly do bleed blue. When they're talking to the kids about what the legacy is of Lovejoy, these guys are painted with it. These guys know what it takes. They went to the biggest programs you could imagine. They've won all the games. A lot of these guys played in the 2 state championships that Lovejoy played in. So when you look at that, these guys know what it takes. These guys can tell you when they're telling you something, they're coaching you, they're talking from the heart and the love for the program. Not because they want to be seen on the edit, not because they want to be on Twitter, because they truly love Lovejoy. And I love Lovejoy. I want the guys around me that feel the same.
For sure. So, Coach, now I want to ask you about the next phases, right? Kind of going forward. So we know about the coaching staff. I know you're still filling it out. We know the core group of guys that's going to be there. So what's next? I know, obviously, like I said, next week is the big passing of the whistle. What does the acclimation period kind of look like for you guys in terms of just, the workouts, then spring, all you guys play? How does next in the phase of this program?
So we got 1TC training coming up after the passing of the whistle, which is next week. 1TC training is just regular workouts where we're proving to ourselves that we need to be earned a seat at the table in order to even play on Fridays. And then we have our spring game that's going to be against Jonesboro, which is always a big game. Anytime that the 2 top teams inside of the county come play each other, that's always a big deal. And then we're going to hype it up big this year because it's been a lot of people haven't really paid attention, but it's been a lot of big-time players in that game. Last year was some big-time players on Jonesboro side and Lovejoy side. So that game's going to be big-time this year and every year that we play them. And then leading into the summer, our contact camps, we're going to get a lot of smoke. We're going to go into some good contact camps. Not going to say just yet, but let the parents and the kids see it first. But we're going to see some state champions all summer. We're going to see 3 state champions in contact camps, and we're going to see how we fare against them and see how we look against them early. And then we'll get to the season. And then the biggest thing is just earn a seat at the table for these young men to say, do you earn a seat to be a part of the legends that's played at Lovejoy? We really want to challenge these young men to see if they're willing to push themselves beyond any type of limits that they've ever experienced. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to the work. Everything's pretty much mapped out for them, and they just got to follow the process and be great.
Period. So, Coach, you talked about the schedule. I just want to ask real quick, have you guys came out with your season schedule this year or still putting that together?
It's together. We just haven't released it out. After the passing of the whistle, we're gonna release a lot of those that we're gonna release to the outer public for them to see.
Period. That there. So, Coach, I know you're just still getting adjusted there. If you know any players, I always like to expose players, get them out there, continue to kind of push for exposure. What players do we need to watch for going forward? As you said, new kind of era with Lovejoy. 2026 class was special, but now we got 2027, 2028, 2029. Who we need to keep an eye out for, Coach?
Gideon Taiwo is a defensive end that's picking up some steam. He has about 9 offers right now. By the end of spring and end of summer, you're gonna be looking up a 30 offer guy. He's a true 6'3" outside linebacker, 220 pounds. He can scratch his knees with his arm length. And if you go drive past Lovejoy's field at any moment in time, you're probably going to see him out there training. He has the pedigree to be a top outside linebacker, and a lot of people are beginning to know his name, but he's going to be a great athlete for us. Also, Isaiah Osby, he plays safety for us and corner for us as well. He's going to play some offense this year. He already has about 9 to 10 offers, but after this spring, I'm believing that he's going to be a top prospect as well. He's a true 6'2" corner, which is, you look around, it's hard to find. And Clayco's had that, but he has ball skills. He's played quarterback before, but he's going to play receiver and safety and corner for us this upcoming season. He's going to continue to blow up. I think he's had a lot of attention on him, but he's going to be a guy that continues to be on the radar. He's going to be really good for us. And then we have Nick out of Bangladesh. He played everything for the team last year, but this year he's going to be a safety as well, athlete guy. He'll kick a little bit for us as well. He's a guy that does not have offers, but I believe that he's a really good athlete. He just played in the Rising Seniors game in December and had 3 catches for over 50 yards in a limited amount of time in a game where you only get a few throws here and there. And he looked lights out in there. He's a kid that looks the part. Like, he's filled out. He looks really good. We have Cam Butler as well, who's a linebacker, will be returning. He's a really athletic linebacker, downhill, physical. Last year he played with Chad Fairchild, so he's the next big linebacker coming up in the 27 class. And then we have Jason Williams as well, who plays offensive line, 6'3" offensive lineman, good bend, skinny ankles, aggressive off of the ball. He doesn't have any offers right now, but during the spring, he's going to be really good for us. And then we have a lot of 28s that are going to be showing themselves in the spring a lot that people don't know about. But our 28s and our upcoming rising ninth graders, man, that group is completely loaded. I think that group is going to be really good at Lovejoy one day, and especially playing in the region that we're going to be in and experience they get, those guys are going to be really good in the future.
Coach, what are your thoughts? You could answer as many as possible, Coach. On the region, links in there. So just what are your thoughts? Like I said, going against the best of the best, and obviously your team being in that fold as well.
Man, I love the region. I think for a young team like what we have right now, what is the best situation for you to be in other than playing the best teams you can before you get to the playoffs? With the new PSR system, we're going to throw them. We're going to be in heavyweight battles week in and week out. And then when you get to the playoffs, you're prepared. I think that this region is going to push out about five teams that truly could say that they could be in the playoffs this year with the PSR system. And I think we'll be one of those teams. And I think that it's going to be a pleasure to go against the coaching and the athletes in our region. I think when you look at a lot of regions in Georgia, I think this is one of the best ones because not only is it filled with the talent, but you also have teams that can coach with anybody. And I feel like you could say that about Woodward, Creekside, Langston. We also going to have Westlake on our non-region schedule. So we're going to face so many teams that where the coaching is elite, the athletes are elite, and we're going to step up to the occasion, but also get good experience early for these young guys who haven't played any varsity ball. I mean, what else could you ask for? Do you want to play a week schedule, or do you want to play against one of the ones every single week? So now when these guys get older and they play early, hey, who's no telling what the ceiling is for these young men when they play the best of the best.
True. So real quick, I won't come for you or anything, Coach. If I messed up, just tell me. But why do you choose not to run from the smoke? Some coaches they try to make the schedules easy. To me, it don't seem like you're running from smoke. You try to play like you just said, the best of the best. So why do you choose not to run from the smoke?
Man, I just think it's for us when you got a young team, and I'd rather see a corner from Creekside, Langston, Woodward, Noonan. I'd rather see the corner and safeties and D linemen that they have to prepare us for what the bigger picture of what we want to see. We say that we want to be a state contender team in the next 3 to 4 years. So why not see what it looks like week in, week out, and let these young men build the character that it takes to respond to teams like that, because it takes character to respond to good teams like that, and that'll develop their character. And if we have good character and we are in a position where we want to be, where we got young men that want to be excellent and exceed those teams and figure out ways to beat those teams, if we build that character in them now, then that's makes it better for us in the runs that we want to make. So we can't lose any situation out of playing those teams. If you lose, you can figure out how to beat them. And if you win, you can also figure out, hey, how can we take it up another notch? So I think it's a win-win situation for us.
For sure. Coach, I want to go back to the kind of the young kids and some of the feeder you talk about. Great rising freshmen we got coming in. what's kind of your plan when it comes to that? I feel like the best of the best coaches, honestly, they know how to kind of have that relationship, that rapport with obviously the young kids, the younger coaches, so that when they come up, they're ready to go. The ones that kind of struggle, they don't have a relationship with the feeder program. So just talk about your plan with that and just being able to have that relationship rapport with them, so that when they come up, they can be key contributors early in their careers.
Man, I don't think this is something I said in my interview, and something that me and the head coach at Eddie White are tight, man. We've had a great relationship since I was the offensive coordinator there. There is no Lovejoy without Eddie White Middle School. Simple as that. We got Wolves to Wildcats. We got to be 100%. I think that coaches around the state have definitely been recruiting Eddie White Middle School. They want to see how many kids can they try to get from there. And we're going to keep all of them home. That's the main goal. There is no Lovejoy without Eddie White. I think Eddie White not only is one of the largest populations of middle schoolers in the entire state, but is pushing out several amazing football players and kids year in and year out. If people really looked at the talent that comes out of Eddie White Middle School, the amount of games that they win year in and year out, you will see why this job in itself is enticing because of Eddie White Middle School. And the structure is there. They coach very well there, and the relationship has been great there. Coach Carson's son just came from Eddie White. He played at Eddie White Middle School when he was in, and he's about to go to Stanford. And he's just one of the many young men that are Division I talents coming out of that school. So we're gonna make sure that we're 1-1. They're gonna come to everything with us. They're going to be a part of every single workout that we do. All the coaches are going to be extensions of our staff, and that's how it's going to be. It's not going to be Lovejoy Wildcats and Eddie White Wolves. No, we're one, and there's not one without the other, and we fit directly into each other, with each other. And I'm excited about it because honestly, me taking the job, that was one of the biggest reasons why, because I just think it's so much talent to be cultivated at that school. And in this day and age, when you're looking at transfer this, transfer that, why not be able to have where you can nurture your own heart and really garden that? And that's what I'm excited about, is just nurturing what we have, man, and nurturing what comes out of there. And those kids can build up to where they play with each other for a long period of time. And that's what I'm excited about.
And then, coach, I want to ask, how excited are you for the kind of the dawn of a new era? I mean, they rebuilding the school, you know what I'm saying? They added different things to it, the stadium, all that good stuff. So how excited are you to kind of just be a part of that, and kind of almost like I said, almost like a renaissance? Like you come in and you have this new team, these young kids ready to go, and then this new stadium potentially, also the new school. How's that for you?
I think if you was to tell anybody that your first head job is that you will walk into a young team that has a big ceiling for the future, and then you're walking into a school that's going to have a new locker room, new weight room, new practice field, and the entire school is going to be getting renovations. I think that any head coach, or any aspiring head coach, would look at that and say, "Sign me up. Where can I go?" And that's what I said. Sign me up immediately. I want to go after a full head of steam. I think all of that is amazing. And I just came from McEachern, obviously, who had some of the best facilities that you could imagine. And me being at Lovejoy, we will have some of the best facilities you could imagine on the South Side. But for me, for those young men, I want them to see, like, what can you give back to this? What can you do to prove that we deserve all this? You know, everything that's here, can we give back to the young men that are in the lower programs in the elementary schools, and the young men that aspire to be Lovejoy Wildcats? Can we give them something they proud to be a part of? Can they be proud to put a power cat on the test? And that's what I want to see. Our facilities will look great. I think they'll be second to none in our area of where we're at. But I want our character to be second to none. And I want these young men to look at what we're doing and say, okay, when I grow up, I have to be a Lovejoy Wildcat, not because of facilities, not because of nice weight room, not nice locker rooms, new meeting rooms. They're getting everything new. Everybody loves what's new. But can we give them something they'll be proud to be a part of for years to come? And that's what the decision was for. I want to give young kids and give parents something that they want to be a part of, that they want to come and be a part of the community, something they can be proud that when they go to our store online and they buy it, that they proud to spend whatever it is to get that power cap put on a shirt and on a hoodie and on a hat. So that's what's biggest for me. Yeah, the new stuff is great. And I think it's great for the kids. It's going to be a great experience. It's going to be done next year, and that's going to be a great experience. But just as much as we're receiving, we got to give too.
Period. All right, coach. Couple more before I let you go. I did want to ask. Was a train of thought. I feel like I just did. Gosh, I hate when that happens. Um, So I want to ask you about character identity, right? So we know the best coaches, best head coaches are offensive line coaches. Let's just be honest, coach. They have a different kind of flair to them. They got a different kind of identity. Like they're just different. So tell me about why the offensive line coach, they just able to get the most out of their kids. They can always just have them play at such a high level and kind of bestow almost to a sense their identity onto the team.
So for Lovejoy, for me, this is something I've lived and I'll die by when it comes to football. Sacrifice, love, and connection. I think when you love
Mm.
someone, you're willing to sacrifice whatever you have to for that individual. When you really love somebody, especially when you're in love, when that love word comes out, something changes of what you're willing to sacrifice. For these young men, they don't understand that you're sacrificing every single day for the person next to you. So you automatically love them. You sacrificing all this time. We spend more time with each other than we do our families, our wives, our moms. So you love each other already, no matter whether you want to say it or not. Offensive linemen understand that. We understand. I love you. I may not be able to, can't stand you at some point, but I love you, man, and I'll do anything for you. That's something I want the kids to see. Like, even if you get on my nerves, even if you do something I can't agree with, I'm willing to sacrifice anything for you, and because I love you. And then also with the offensive line, we understand that we got to be connected. If I have a deuce block, an ace block, I can't make it without the center. I can't make it without the guard. It's impossible. So it's the one position where there's nothing I can do without you. I can get a pancake and turn around and we lost 7 yards because you didn't do your job. So that's the position where we
Mm.
understand. And for me, it's getting all the kids to understand that. Can you get a receiver that if he hasn't got a target in 3 to 4 drives, that he still just want to block and do whatever he can for y'all to score? Can you do that? Because that's the part where you come in offensive line play where you can get his mindset to where, hey, when I get those targets, I'm a ball. But until then, I'm a block and put everybody in the dirt until I get a chance to. Can you get a quarterback to hand the ball off 40 times in a game? He ain't threw a pass in a while. He ain't scored throwing the ball. But can he be just excited about us scoring 4 rushing touchdowns that it is 4 passing touchdowns? If you can do that, which I feel like a lot of people can do if you take the time to do it, offensive line coaches have that patience to kind of do that a little bit more than other coaches because we experience what it's like to not even have the glory, so we don't really care much. For me, I want to teach all the kids not to
All right.
really glory, man. Like, stop caring about your own glory. If you care about the next man getting into the end zone and that leads to all of us getting a score, then that's all that matters at the end of the day. Defensively, if all you care about, hey, if you know it's a TD game and you know that I'm going to attack the guard so that the end can get a sack, and I'm just excited about him being seen as getting a sack and him doing his dance, then we got a good football team.
That coach to kind of stay on that point. How do you do that, coach, in a very me culture with NIL and all this other stuff, all these distractions coming at these kids, coach? How do you get them to lock into that one goal that you just said, and they can do that and our own success?
I think having something, building something where all of them can believe in it at once. I think McEachern is a great example of that last year because our two best players on offense statistically were out before the season even started, and then we had a lot of young guys that came that were good. They were good football players, but they all were used to being the guy before they got to high school, and they had never played a down of high school football. So we had to establish something that they believed in more than themselves. And we had the label, and RTABF has been a thing that I've always done for the years. But kids believed in it because it was something that exceeded who they were. You got to understand that the bigger picture is us winning and not complaining about the guys being out and not complaining about you not getting the ball, but us winning, us getting in the box, your brother getting the offer, your brother getting the attention. If he's getting attention, it'll somehow get back to you. If you're getting it, then that means your brothers will get it. And at the end of the day, you'll realize that, man, life is just bigger than me. And a lot of young men in this day and age struggle with understanding that because there's not many things. If you're a good football player now entering the high school and being in high school, there's not many things that remind you that life is bigger than you. So football setting, we have to do that. We have to figure out ways to get them to understand that there's one day that you'll be a father. There's one day that your mom will need you. If you're not going to be a father, your son, your mom, your dad going to need you. And life is going to be bigger than you. You're going to have to make sacrifices. That's not about the glory of you and you being on the TV screen. And if we can get them to understand that as teenagers, which I think is possible. It just takes time, and you have to reiterate to them and show them examples of how if you do this, it impacts other people around you in a positive light. That's something that we also said last year was difference makers. We were looking for difference makers. That's something I'm gonna be looking at Lovejoy as well. A difference maker is defined as an ordinary individual through all their positive actions can impact everybody around themselves. So you're an ordinary individual just from being born, but you're a difference maker from all your positive actions with the people around you. And then that's when you start changing people that are around you. That's what makes you a difference maker. So you don't got to be a 5-star to be a difference maker, but it forces the 5 stars to feel like, hey, I want to be such a good player that I impact the guys around me. So I ain't just the only person that's getting the interviews that everybody talking about. People talking about my teammates too.
That's fact. Hey, coach, I'm gonna leave it on that note. You just, hey, Lovejoy got something special, man. And Coach Jabari, hey, coach, I'll be by for sure. I'll definitely be by there in the spring, man. Come check y'all out and be by there pretty often, man. So appreciate you coming on and just tell me a little bit about yourself and this Lovejoy program. Can't wait to see what you build out there in Clayco.
And I appreciate it a lot. And you're welcome to come anytime you want to.
Appreciate you, coach. Thank you. Yes, sir. All right, man. Coach Jabari Wilder, man. Hey, I'm impressed. Lovejoy's gonna be a team to watch, man. Coach Wilder got the right mindset, teach these kids, man, and like he's gonna be the right mentor and a right figure for them in order for them to continue to build to what they want to build to in the coming years, man. But that's all we got for today's show. Thanks everybody tuning in, man. Sorry for the connection, man, but I appreciate everybody watching the show for tonight. We'll obviously upload it later, man. Y'all enjoy the rest of your night, and it's another episode of Just Sizzling News. We'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.